Hello?
Yeah, cool.
Yeah,
I can hear you.
yeah. So we're already live
Yeah,
on air. We're just embedding the feed on the live stream link on Social Samosa.
no problem. Sure.
Um,
So internet issues that side, is it?
Sorry?
Internet issues that side?
Yeah, internet.
No
In
problem.
India, we'll have
That's the story of
that.
our lives, is
Absolutely. The irony of our life.
it?
So I think we're live now on
You're live now?
the stream.
Okay.
Yeah, looks like it. So we'll start the chat. So
Uh-huh.
welcome today. Thank you very much for joining us on this Twang Out.
Thanks, Ankita.
Um,
My
so,
pleasure.
uh, so, so we've been following your work very closely. We've been writing about it also, and
Mm-hmm.
personally, I'm very fond of the work that Kingfisher does, especially with the properties that you guys have built with your Kingfisher dispenser, your the English language fonts that you came up with, your
Right.
KF Beer Up.
Mm-hmm.
All these have in itself, especially KF Beer Up has become a extremely followed, loved property.
Mm-hmm.
So we'd really love to hear from you. Of course, we'll also start in questions coming in soon, but we'd love to hear from you. How do you basically bring all of this together? What is the thinking behind? And before that, everybody he leads digital at Kingfisher, so he's the man behind. He and his team is the man behind Kingfisher Beer Up. So now you know which handle to catch.
Yeah,
Yeah, so if you could just take us through your thought process.
sure, sure. Yeah, so first of all, thanks for having me here, Ankita. So as we know, Social Samosa, it's a pleasure to, be on a hangout with you guys, to hang out as you call it. So yeah, see, what we probably do at Kingfish and what we do really well, what we'd like to believe that we do really well is integrating our online campaigns and giving it an online leg, a strong online leg, a strong offline leg, sorry. Uh, so basically, see, the entire attempt whenever we crack a campaign is to create an experience about around whatever we do. Okay, so if we take the KF beer up for example, so the journey starts online, where it's all about it's an invite-only party. We don't discriminate. The fastest to RSVP are the ones who actually make it on ground. So that actually gives users a sense of they feel like equals. Okay, so we don't discriminate between someone who has say 30 followers to someone who has 3,000 followers. So possibly when we start, we get that element right where we feel that everyone who can come down to the party, he deserves to be at the party. So that's how we start. So we get the basics right. So we create that desirability around being part of a beer up. And once we take the RSVPs, it's all about the party which happens on ground, where we kind of celebrate beer. And since it's beer, it gives us a lot of leeway because it's still a young man's drink. People enjoy having a beer with their friends, and beer ups are all about celebrating beer, and we do it through beer games and stuff. And what happens is everything that happens at a beer up is kind of linked back on Twitter. So the games we shortlist people through the hashtags that we use on the ground. The fastest to tweet are the ones who get to play the game, in front of the audience, and the audience gets to enjoy because they root for their contestants. There's music, there's a band lined up, there's food, there's beer flowing the whole night. So it's all about creating good times at the venue for us, because Kingfisher is all about good times. So what we feel is that when we do something on ground, the Kingfisher ideology or the Kingfisher brand message needs to go through. It is all about letting people enjoy the good times. So beer up, we create an experience around beer games, and that's how we do it. So that's what we treat as paramount importance, because we feel that if we give people a good experience, they will have good things to say about the event. And that's what happens. And over the years, with the kind of beer ups that we have been doing, now we have come to a stage where 150 RSVPs go out in 58 seconds. So if you don't do an RSVP within a minute, you are left out. So that's what it has reached to now. So and it speaks about the experience that people have on ground, because they like the experience so much that they want to be a part of the next era. And for us, the benchmark keeps on changing every year. We do realize that it can't be the same group of people attending beer ups, or else it's of no use. But what we do find at when we do our beer ups is, obviously there's 20-25% who keep coming year on year, but around 60-70% are new guys because they have heard about a beer up on Twitter and they really want to see what a beer up is. So I think that kind of gives you a feel about how successful your property is, because people want to be a part of it. And that really helps, because the journey starts online, it culminates offline, and it goes back to online. With the help of tweets and good things that people have to write about it. So that, I think, completes your online offline circle according to us at Kingfisher. So probably that's one property around which we can. I hope that.
Okay, that's fabulous.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we already have questions pouring in, so I think we'll shoot out those.
Mm-hmm.
So we have Dinesh asking us, how can you integrate offline or online-offline activity with SM marketing if the client is in another country?
How can you just repeat that question again?
So, how can you integrate offline-online activity with SM marketing if the client is in another country?
Okay. See, I believe that social media, in a way, has kind of, shrink the world. So the client need not be in the same country as long as his product is, being sold here. So I believe, if the objective is around. Hello, Ankita, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Because I lost the feed.
No, I can.
You can hear me, right? So yeah.
I've just muted myself.
Oh, sure. So it depends on the objective, actually. So I don't know what the objective is. If the objective is to get people to sample your product, if he's launching his product in the country and the client is outside the country, I don't. I feel that an offline event, which can start its journey online. You get people on ground, get people to sample your product, and get people to talk about your product. I think nothing beats people talking about your product, and so if they have in the end, it all boils down to how good your product is. So if you're confident of your product, and if you want people to sample it, and they will go ahead and write good things about it. So I don't feel that the client needs to be in the country, even if he's outside the country. He with the help of your agency, can create that experience on ground and control it with respect to the objectives that he wants to achieve.
Okay, super. We have Akshay asking us, other than promoting the offline event, how can online medium be used to work with the offline campaign?
Okay. Most of the time what happens is that online teams are generally briefed of the brand campaigns that the brand is going to come out with. Okay, so examples like KF Beer Up, or Starbucks Sweeter Coffee are examples of campaigns which start online and then find its like on ground. But most of the times what happens is there's a brand campaign which comes out, and you have to create an online campaign around it. So I can take examples of campaigns I have worked on in the past. So if I take in Idea, we used to have these series of campaigns around what an idea. So I think 2-3 years back we had this campaign where it was all about break the language barrier, which was a brand campaign under the What an Idea's Sergi brand thought. So it was all about people who travel to different states in India. How if they don't know the language, how do they survive? By speaking the local language and stuff. So that was a brand campaign that was that we kind of broke on TV and on radio and mass media. Now the challenge was to create an experience online and take this thought and create a campaign around it where people can actually get to know and get to experience these campaigns, because digital and online is all about experiencing the campaign. So the moment you take a brand campaign, you need to start thinking on how you will create an experience around this campaign. So what we did is we created an mobile app, which basically translates any phrase into the phrase in that language. So you could convert a normal sentence in English into, say, Gujarati if you are in Gujarat, into Malayalam if you are in Kerala. And now to demonstrate that, we choose 4 or 5 people from Twitter and Facebook. So we sent the person who we selected from Delhi to Kerala. We selected the person who we selected from Tamil Nadu to, say, Assam, and vice versa. So we put real users into states which they have never been to. Let them encounter languages that they never have, only with the help of this app, and we documented it. What came back, and the entire so we marketed like we marketed it like an online reality show where users had to seek help of online users along with that app to converse with people in the local language. So that helps you take your brand campaign on ground, and still it brings a thought back online, because in a way you are creating an experience, because people are seeing you experiencing the same thing that probably people in the brand campaign, the TVC, did. So in a way that reality around the campaign comes through when you create an experience around that. And that also instigates people to download that app, because they find how useful it is to have such an app in their mobile. So that's how probably a campaign which is born in the offline world can be brought into the online world, and you can do an online offline integration around that campaign. That's one example which I can think of, because I've worked on that. So I'll be in a better position to talk about campaigns which I have kind of worked on.
So we have another question. What goes into all of this with respect to logistics? In fact, even I'm very curious. You've been doing Kingfisher backstage strong. There are so many vendors, so many parties involved. When you do your KF beer ups, you have your venue, you have your MCs, you have your bands, and you have your people signing up, and there are thousands of things that I'm sure that you have to look into. So how does the digital team? I'm sure the digital team is not really equipped to do all these off ground offline activations. How does that function?
See, having been in the industry for 6-7 years, I have seen digital evolve. From the days when it used to be only online campaigns, to the time now when digital guys do pretty much everything. And I think it's more of a survival tactic, because in a way now digital guy can do events as well. And the name of online offline integrations, we do, kind of get into territories which are typically the stuff that a brand manager does. Now, as far as logistics is concerned, Ankita, I feel, as long as, see, it doesn't help if there are too many cooks. So that still stays true for any campaign. So obviously, if it's a digital team which is leading, an online offline campaign, there needs to be a consistency of message. Okay, so if obviously there are 3 or 4 vendors who are working with you, you as a digital team who is the stakeholder of this event needs to clearly demarcate what each agency does, and where the role of probably an online agency ends, and where the role of an event agency starts, with the benchmark being that everyone needs to work towards the same objective of getting the consistency of messaging right. So if it's about giving people a good time, so online conversations are around good times. On ground, the event agency's job is to create games or experiences where people can go back and tell how good a time they had. So from the logistics perspective, as long as you are clear in your head about what you want to achieve, and you're clear with the objective that you want to achieve and the brand messaging as such, and you ensure that all the agencies working with you are consistent with the messaging that you want the users to experience, I think you can pull it off. I make it sound easy, but there's a lot of planning which goes into it. There's a lot of rounds of briefing which take place, We obviously, when we do a beer up, we do a thorough recce of the place. We go there a day in advance. We kind of do a mock run. So there are a lot of things which actually ensure that when we do the event, because for a real event that is happening, for a live event that is happening, you can't afford to have goof ups at the at the time when you are doing the event, because all the guys who are attending it are influencers online, have will have things to write, and they will report it live. It's like playing with fire. You can't afford to have anything wrong when you have 100 150 guys who know how to use Twitter, who will tweet the moment they find something amiss. So so there needs to be a lot of care that has to be taken. But I think planning, that's true for any event as such. But in an online offline thing, you have to be a bit more careful, because you know that the people attending are socially savvy. Unlike another event where there's still a chance that people may not report it online. But yeah, as long as you are clear in your head and you brief your agencies right, I feel the same can be achieved.
Which actually has a very nice follow-up question, is that what kind of goof ups can one expect, and how do you sort of have a plan in place to deal with it, especially because, like you said, you have these people who would one mistake and they have no mercy. So how do you, and it has a chance of going viral across the internet. So what are the kind of goof ups should one expect when they do activities like these, activations like these, and then how do they sort of have a plan in place if something goes wrong, or what do you think brands, what do you say brands should look out for?
See, I feel it's so when a brand does an online offline integration, the moment you start making the users feel special. See, at the end of the day, brand needs to be genuine. Okay, and when they meet the users on ground, which is so basically it's all about creating an experience where they don't talk to their display picture, or they're not tagging their handles. It's actually the user is right in front of you. So if a brand is genuine, and if he's trying to create that real connect that a brand wants to create with that user, I feel that the user also understands, because they know that the people who are handling the brand are also humans. At the end of the day, so if you are genuine in all your attempts to create that experience for the user, I think minor goof ups here and there is something which the user understands. Plus, I think we also have a backup plan in place. So, for example, it has never happened at a beer up, but for example, if we serve beer with ice cubes in it, that's something which the user is not used to having, right? You don't have beer with ice cubes. But if that happens, and if it tweets out, obviously we do keep tracking. So even if we are at the event, there's a team who is tracking the tweets that is coming live. We obviously know the handle, and since the brand actually knows this person and they've interacted with him, you have those 5-10 minutes where you can address that. So it's all about going up to him, addressing his concern, because he's there right in front of you. And rather than ignoring the comment, because when you're doing an event on ground, it's different from say, replying back to his tweet online, because the guy is right there. So for an online offline event, for an offline event which is built online and which is happening there and then, I think you need to keep tracking what is happening, what people are talking. Is there any concern that these guys have, which they anyways will voice out? You need to keep tracking that, and you need to identify if there is something which you need to address. Obviously, you should address anything and everything that comes to you, but you need to track that, and you need to address it right there and then. And if you follow it up with an experience which he's not expecting, he's obviously bound to say good things about you after the concern that he voiced. So I think tracking that and keeping a track so that you're in control of the entire event is very important in an online offline event, where there's a danger of anything going offline, online. Sorry.
So you basically have to be very extremely alert.
That's right. Wow. You can't. So while we are at a party, you can't afford to be partying.
Interesting. So we have another question from Chandar. Is a big problem during outdoor consumer engagement is privacy concerns with login info. Your take?
Okay. Okay, so I think the kind of event that he's talking about is where people walk in and they have to tag themselves, so they have to probably do an F connect for or an update goes out that Sandeep Balan was at so and so event. Uh, See, I think at a level, what I think brands should realize is that you can never force a user to do something which he might not be interested in. Obviously, out of the 100 people walking into an event, there might be 5 or 10 who would actually want to do that if you kind of push it to him. But it's all about not being pushy. The online offline integration that you do when you actually have an offline event, you should create an experience which gets the user to write about the event himself. He should tag that he's at that place experiencing the hospitality himself, rather than you putting up an app in his face that you need to check in before entering the event, which is kind of being pushy. So in probably my understanding, it's all about creating an experience and not being pushy, and creating an experience around your brand. If the moment you become pushy, it's a big piss off, especially for the user. So a lot of brands still do that. They ask you to log in into your Facebook account, a tweet goes out, a Facebook update goes out. But for me, that's being a bit too pushy. Create an experience which gets the user to speak about the event himself, rather than asking him to, uh, you know, do an app and get an update on his profiles. That's not a good way of doing things.
Okay, very nice answer. So we have Nirali asking, what are some of the challenges that a brand might face while executing an offline on online activity?
Uh, See, there are a couple of kind of online offline events that you can do. Okay, one obviously which I have already spoken about is a KF beer up, where the journey starts online, it kind of ends on ground, and there are a lot of tweets and online stuff that happens, which goes back online. No, then there are stuff like these online websites which happen, which is all about a concert happening on ground, which people don't know the location of. But the only purpose of that is, it is being webcast. People can ask questions. The band sees whatever questions they are being asked, and they reply back. Okay, so I think the logistic issues depends on what kind of campaign that you're handling. One obviously is connectivity. India, all said and done, we do face internet issues the way we did right at the start of this Hangout. So when you are doing an online offline event, where there are a lot of people attending, networks kind of get jammed, especially if you're talking of an event where there are thousands and thousands of people. So if you take a concert, for example, you have around 10, 15,000 people there. And if you expect networks to work and people to log on to their GPRS and or their 3G networks to tweet, most of the time networks get jammed. Okay, so if you're expecting people to tweet and post pictures when they are at the event, which is packed with people, most of the time the experience that you want the users to share doesn't get shared because of obvious internet issues. So probably there, you need to plan for it. You need to have a Wi-Fi router there. So for beer ups, when we have 150 people coming down, we obviously give them the Wi-Fi password, because everything that happens at a beer up is dependent on the tweets that he sends, and the fastest ones to tweet are the ones who get to play the game. So we can't afford to be at the mercy of the mobile connection that users have, which may or may not get jammed depending on the number of people that you have. So that is important. Second is for you to probably tweet or Instagram live from the event. You obviously need to have a setup there. So you can't obviously afford to claim to do an online offline bit and come out with an excuse that the net went down, because the people won't show you mercy online, where you have built the entire hype around how we are going to live tweet about this concert, and all you see are sorry messages because something went wrong. So obviously, first and foremost is the sorting out the internet, arranging for stuff, ensuring that the users who come down can seamlessly tweet and push stuff which they would want to once they enjoy the experience. I think if you get these two stuff right, The rest is all about which you can plan. When you're doing an online offline bit, I think getting the experience bit sorted and getting users or giving users the outlet and the means to tweet or do their updates is the most important in my. So logistically, these are the two things that you need to probably put your tick on.
We have a nice follow-up question to this, the last one that you answered is, what is the kind of technology support that is needed to do things like these? Because the beer dispenser that you created, the entire setup, that's certain kind of technology that is, needed. I've seen a lot of other brand campaigns also where they have these, they have these live TVs or lot of activities and lot of technology integration is done. So what is needed and what have you used in your campaign so far, and how do you find vendors to add to that? How do you find vendors to do things like these?
Sure. So that's a nice question. In fact, see see the technology that you use. Technology comes only after you have cracked what you want to do. With your campaign. You can't obviously start by saying that I want to use technology and let me do a campaign which kind of use technology to create that experience. Obviously, if your campaign that you're planning is kind of ends up using technology, that's obviously a plus. But technology obviously will be only post you have decided what you want to do. So in the case of say Good Times dispenser, what we wanted to do is because we do Oktoberfest every year in Bangalore in October, which is all about rock music and music in general. We married rock music with beer because it's Oktoberfest is primarily a beer festival. So we tried to marry rock music with beer. Rock music is all about headbanging. And obviously, how do you marry it with beer? We got people to headbang. The more you headbang, the chances of getting a beer increases. So I think that, and that's when technology follows, because then you are clear, okay, this is what you want to do, and then you go out finding how you will find a vendor who can actually help you with the technology that you want, that you want to build your campaign around. So we started out with the thought of how to marry rock music and consumption of beer. So a machine which dispenses beer when you headbang was what we arrived at. And once we arrived at that, then we followed up. Okay, then it needs to be a dispenser. Okay, so that was the kind of tick. Post that, we said that okay, probably if we calculate the number of headbangs that the user does, and if he crosses that threshold, if we can trigger the beer to fall, probably that could be the stuff that we are looking for. So we're looking for a dispenser which can dispense beer the moment a trigger is sent to it, and it dispenses beer, 1 to 3 beers depending on the number of headbangs that we have done. So we have the requirements right. Once you have the requirements, it's all about briefing a technology guy that okay, we have a dispenser. What we need to do is get the technology in place where the beer dispenser can talk to my headgear, which has a motion sensor, and the moment it sends a trigger, it needs to push the beer. So and that's how probably it falls into place. So I think technology will follow if you have your campaign brief right, and if you have the elements of your campaign right. Because post that, when you are clear in your head or as what you want to achieve, I think finding a technology partner is, I think, a cakewalk, as long as you know what you want. Because in our case, the brief was clear that we need a dispenser. I mean, we needed to read the number of headbangs that user does. So that way. So I think the kind of technology that you use will change from campaign to campaign. So it can be a simple technology to a complicated technology. So a couple of years back, RFID was a big thing. Where users go in, users have an RFID band, they swipe, an update goes. So it might have been born out of a thought where users walking into an event don't need to log in because obviously networks are jammed. So all you need is a RFID tag. You swipe and an update goes. So it might have been born out of that idea. So I think every technology need is born out of a need to do something on ground. And once you have the brief right, it's all about finding a vendor who fits in to your need. So I think that would be my response to that.
Okay, super. We've Inder who's asking, how do you recommend doing a campaign offline to online brands have done online to offline. Do you recommend offline to online?
See, offline to online, I just told you an example of offline to online, which was the break the language barrier, where the idea was seeded offline, where it was launched in TV. Already it was create an online experience around it. An online to offline also last to last year when we were launching Life OK, as a part of Start TV, there's a new channel which was coming out. One of the shows that the channel was opening with was around Mahadev, which is around Shiv. So what we did was we tried creating an on-ground concert for it, but it was not an on-ground concert the way on-ground concerts are. It was supposed to be a concert which people don't know the location of. It was supposed to be online, and we created hype around it that this is the first ever online concert, whether bands like Shankar Ehsaan Loy, Agni, Euphoria, singing songs around Shiva. So it was an 8-hour marathon where each of these bands would keep coming, one after the other, and churn out songs which they have specially done around Shiva. And at 8 o'clock, the concert flips back to the online streaming of the channel. So it was launched. The date that we kind of seeded was the same date as the channel was being launched. So it was an on-ground event, but we positioned it as an online event because we said that it's an online concert. And how we kind of integrated it back to on ground was that we asked people that you can put in your requests, which we will ensure that the brand replies to. So if I am watching that online concert, I could ask Shankar Ehsaan Loy, whether I could ask them anything under the sun, around their composition, and Shankar Ehsaan Loy would read that and reply back, addressing your handle, and which kind of becomes a memorabilia for me, because it's a band talking to me using my handle, using my online identity. So that's somewhere where you have an offline event, but you're trying to create elements online where you can leverage that offline event. All you need to do is obviously enable a Twitter wall or something out there where the bands can read the questions being directed at them and respond to them. What the user gets online is obviously the band talking directly to them. So that's how probably you can have an offline event as an example of probably an offline event which you kind of try to leverage online by creating channels where you can talk to people who are actually doing that concert out there. That I think is a example which I can think of.
Okay. So we have a follow-up question from Chandar where he says we have been connecting user experiences to FB by uploading shareable activities on brand apps. This we have found to be better than asking users to upload from a public place. Your take?
Can you just repeat that? I lost it in the middle.
So we have been connecting user experiences to FB by uploading shareable activities on brand apps. This we have found to be better than asking users to upload from a public place.
So does he mean a brand app which is probably an installation at an on-ground event, or is it brand apps which are in general? So
I think he means in general.
So if it's in general, obviously, that way you're creating an experience online, where you ask people, where it directly picks up photos from your album and you have to sift through it and select, rather than clicking a photo and uploading it. But if you're doing it on ground, the example that I think of is a photo booth, which is connected. So rather than clicking a photo yourself, there are a lot of props out there which you can use, and it gets integrated into your Facebook account. So possibly, I think if it's around online offline integration, I think he might be talking of a photo booth where the sole purpose of that installation is users walking, users kind of sport the props that they have kept, log in into their Facebook account, which is a brand app which you have created, because the photos that go out go integrated with your logo. So that helps the brand in creating that identity. So, all said and done, when you put a photo up, it's a photo. It doesn't have any branding on it. Compared to a brand app, which puts a layer on top of your photo, which kind of one conveys that you are at an event, which also conveys, that this was facilitated by so and so brand. So it depends. So if it's a photo wall kind of an installation which goes with a layer of your branding on his social network, a lot of brands find that useful because in a way it's the user kind of advocating the that brand. So that way the brand apps are helpful in putting that layer on top of your photo, which cannot be achieved if you are asking him to upload a photo of him attending that concert or attending that event. So probably that way, at least the brand can find some value. And completely it
We
depends on
have
the objective of the brand.
Okay, okay. So, Dharmesh says, how do you guys come out with amazing campaigns like English font? Amazing. So how do you come up with? Actually, even I'm curious. How do you? What's the thought process like? Where do you get these ideas from? Like the beer dispenser machine. Do you have like an idea generating machine at your office?
No, see, I think equal credit should be given to the agencies that work with us. So we work with the best agencies out there. So be it JWT, who's offline agency, be it 22 Feet, who's our online agency. No, what really works for Kingfisher is everyone. It's a love for the brand. Everyone thinks around how to create good times, how to create good time experiences for users, be it the kind of TVCs that we do around IPL, be it creating campaigns. I think the moment we start thinking, the barometer is, will it give a good time experience to the users or not? And unless we kind of crack a campaign which actually fits into that objective, we kind of trash. So the ones that you see live are the ones that have probably gone out after we have discussed hundreds of ideas. Most of the ideas we ourselves feel that it's not something which we should expose the users to. So what goes out is obviously the best, which we feel the users can have a good time. And I think the moment you work around creating an experience where people can say wow, I think and with a category which is beer, which is still more fun, not into that serious space. I think it lends itself to doing a lot of stuff around online, offline, and online in particular, because users know the product, and Kingfisher is a product which they have been which they have been having with friends, so it's kind of a friend to them, and that's the same tone that we maintain online as well. That's the same tone that we try to create out of our experiences. So it's a friend talking to you, I think. So the campaign that we do are pretty youthful in nature, if I can call it that. So I think it's I would like to believe that it's relatively less tougher for Kingfisher to create campaigns which appeal to the youth compared to probably a serious brand or brand out there which has a serious tone of voice. So it comes naturally to us probably, and beer helps as well. I lost your voice, Ankita. Hello, I can't hear
Hello,
you.
am I
Yeah,
audible?
yeah, you're audible now.
Yeah. So Mansi is asking album uploads and live tweeting with most clients. Any ideas to break the cycle? I think this is something that even as Social Samosa we try and do. We encourage brands to go all out. How do you have your as a brand Kingfisher? How are they so open to doing and experimenting ideas like these? They can totally bomb. And how do you really encourage other brands to go out and start integrating their offline online activities?
See, I think we have been very lucky to have a management which kind of believes in the work that we do, and gives us the freedom to do whatever we want to do. It all I think stems out of the fact that if you stop yourself from doing something, and wait for the appropriate moment to do something and follow others, because they have done so, I don't think you will keep on missing the bus. Because I think things are changing at such a fast pace. If you don't do it today, some other brand will, and you can't go back and say, okay, this is something that I wanted to do, and then it kind of hurts when you see the other brand leveraging, out of that idea which you feel you could have done. So unlike the real world, and it's true to an extent for your on ground campaigns as well. Online it just becomes a bit more important because the moment it's out there, your articles are out, your blogs are out, there's a YouTube video up. So I think so that way you should not hold yourself back. It's very important for an organization to believe that if they need to talk to today's youth, who spend considerable amount of their time online, and this is the same youth that probably goes to a pub in the night to to catch a drink with his friends. You need to understand that this is a place where probably you can catch him and you can interact with him, and you're interacting with him as a friend, because in the night is the same guy who would be the decision maker if he wants to have your product versus your competitors. you know so uh, so it's all about that need to do things, and aligning your management, and obviously helpful management helps. The need to go digital is something that percolates from the top management, to your juniors. It's not something which probably you can make others believe. You need to have a belief in the medium to be able to do good things. I think that's of paramount importance. Once you have that, everything else follows. So if that belief is there, it's all about thinking of the next big thing that you can do, which involves users, which gets that experience bit going, and rest everything follows. So and once you do that, you'll obviously have a lot of good stuff. So there's a lot of constant talk of ROI, that management wants to see from your campaign. That's a word which I've been hearing for the last 7 years. Thankfully, there are brands, including Kingfisher, where ROI is more about engagement than anything else. It's the kind of conversation, it's the quality of engagement. It's that. And when you have that as an ROI, I believe that you will be bound, and you will be forced to do campaigns which doesn't stress on a hardcore ROI, like the number of tweets that you got, or the number of likes that you got on your post. But it's more about the number of good experiences that people had with whatever you did. So I think it kind of goes back to that. So it's very important to have a management which believes in digital. If they don't, make them believe in digital.
Now that you've already brought out the word ROI, we have Atikur asking us, how do you measure the success of an offline online integration on social media? Which again, even we are curious as how do you really define that this is the kind of engagement or experience that the user is getting is going to lead to some kind of a very tangible ROI? And by tangible, we don't mean impressions, number of impressions and tweets that went
Yes,
out, but something which drives a little more business value. How do you drive that results with these campaigns, or do these campaigns even help us do that?
See, ROI is a word which which has been floating around, and somehow it's only the digital team that is subjected to this word, ROI. So that's been my grudge over all these years. But the way we measure ROI, so we strongly believe that if you, so it's kind of like a product. If you launch a product, okay, if it's a consumable product, okay, if you're launching it, people will sample it. If they don't like it, they will trash it. They won't come back and have that product again. An online offline integrated campaign is something like that. It's kind of like launching a product. So if they don't like it, if the users come, they experience, they don't like it, obviously you can't force them to come back again, unless you probably promise to give them an iPad when they come. So it will be very difficult to get that user back if he has not gone back the first time with a good experience. So I think kind of an ROI, you can take that as an ROI, as the success of probably an event that you have done, depending on if you see repeat visitors, if you see people saying good things about it. So the quality of conversations that come out of whatever you do is probably one of the measures that we would like to see. So right from the time then when we started Beer Ups, when it used to be 8 to 9 minutes, for 100 RSVPs, to the time when it was 58 seconds for 100 RSVPs, you somehow know, and you can judge that the property somehow people want to attend that, and that's because people like your product. So that analogy of a product that you have launched stays true for your campaigns as well. So for us, the ROI would be engagement. The ROI would be quality conversations, people talking good stuff about your brand, and that somehow rubs off on your brand as well. If you do innovative stuff, if you do stuff which others have not yet started doing, if you do cool stuff, and digital somehow gets to do all cool stuff, that will have a rub off on your brand, because people are bound to say that this is a brand that does cool, innovative things, and I want to be associated with such a brand. People come to a beer up, go back happy, because they understand how Kingfisher cares for them when they are there at a beer up. Because we are celebrating beer along with them, and they feel an integral part of that celebration. So they are bound to go back and recommend it to their friends, as long as they have good things to say about the event and about the product in general. So it all depends on that. And for us, no, there's no bigger ROI than that. It's not the number of tweets that happened. It's not about you trended all over India, which you can easily do if you offer a carrot to the user. It's more about, even if it's limited conversations, it's about the good conversations, the quality conversations about the event, about the product, about the experience that they had. That kind of matters to us. So we strive to kind of tick all these metrics when we create something. So even if it's a good times dispenser, at the end you are headbanging and getting a beer, which is kind of rewarding you for your efforts, and you're bound to be happy at the end of that, because one, you have connected users with technology. Second, you have also given him, a reward for all his efforts that did. So Kingfisher is more like a friend. So for us, that's the ROI. As long as we see smiles on the faces of people when they go back, and as long as they have good things to say about the event, we feel that our ROI metrics have been ticked. The moment we see a frowning face, we kind of try to address that. That's when we kind of go into that mode to find out what went wrong. So for us, it's on that level. It's not on the number of impressions that a campaign generated, or the number of click-through rates, which our campaign got. And for an online offline, that doesn't work, because it's not CTRs and CPCs that you're chasing with that. It's more about you're talking as a user to a user. So you can either like that person or dislike that person. We tend to be the one who gets liked, than the other bit. So that's what we strive for in kind of our ROI. If that answers your question.
Yes, it absolutely does. Which Shelly also wanted to ask something similar, which is, should online integration be aimed to create awareness or expect hardcore sale ROI? Having said that, for your brand, you've clearly defined what a success metric would be.
That's
I'm
right.
sure there are various ways for other brands to use some kind of an offline activation coupled with social media to actually generate leads and sales. I'm sure that's
Yes.
also a possibility.
Yes, especially if you are, if see, you as a brand person should be confident of your product. If it's a launch of a product, if you get people to sample your product, and if you're getting a lot of people down to sample your product, and you believe that the product that you have is genuinely good, they're bound to go back and come back, to purchase that product. If you fear that people will have bad things once they sample your product, why launch the product in the first place? So it all boils down to that. One, you should be confident of your product. If you're launching a product, get people down, let them have it, and sales will follow. If it's a product that you're extremely confident of, and you feel that this is unique, let people sample that unique. Let people get to write about what they felt when they had that product. There's no better word of mouth that can happen than having a bunch of people sample it and write about it, because social media works on networking, right? If they have good things to write, others would follow. They will be curious to know what the product is. That's how you create wave after wave, and sales will follow. If you want people to come down to your event and buy your product right there and then, it's like the same thing that I mentioned in the front. It's like pushing your product, in the user's face. You call them for an experience and you expect sales out of that event, is not how it would work, in my opinion. Obviously, I may be wrong. It may be brands whose objective would be otherwise, but I strongly feel that it's the other way around. You can't expect you can't expect to push your product in users face, and you expect him to write good things about it. It's more the other way around, where sales will follow, if he likes the product. And if you are creating an experience, if you are confident of your product, I think there's nothing stopping from the user to sample it again and again. So
Absolutely. So I think we're already we're almost an hour now we've had this chat. We still have a few questions, 3, 4 questions, which we could probably quickly wrap up. And if
Sure.
we still have more coming in, we could probably take a call then.
Sure.
So we have Inder asking us, should we look at keeping medium support for offline events like laptops, iPad with Wi-Fi availability, etc.? I think which is a very valid question. I'm sure you have like a checklist and you have like a big, huge system for backups, and you have your multiple net connects and what all goes into having like a backup ready.
Sure. So see, in our case, when we are doing a beer up, we do it mostly in pubs, because that are our partner outlets. For a beer up, obviously, what you need obviously is a net connection and laptops at your disposal and crew out there who are tracking your the tweets that are flowing live and kind of responding to that and ensuring that everything is going as per your plans. So it depends from an event to event. If it's a party and your objective is live tweeting and live Instagramming from the event, then you obviously need to have the hardware around that and ensure that a good connectivity is there for you to to share those experiences with a larger audience that is out there online than the 100 odd people who are attending the event. So so it's a basic checklist, and that's from a brand or an agency's perspective on what you guys tweet to help others, who are attending the event. Because today we are in a situation, where everyone who has a mobile has a decent internet connection or it has a decent internet plan going to it, and even the cheapest of phones have a Wi-Fi option. And if you want to ensure that apart from the ones that you put out, to the audience out there, you also want the users to share their experience right there, right then. Because for events like that, it's about the experience that you have at that moment. You can't go back, couple of hours later, and you won't be in the same zone for you to write good things about the event. So as long as you ensure that there's enough, there's a good Wi-Fi connectivity out there, and people know the password. Obviously, Wi-Fi is of no use if users don't know that there was a Wi-Fi at the event in the first place. As long as they know that they have been given the password, at least have the means right by which people, if they want to, can. Obviously, you can't ask people to, okay, now that you have had a good time, please tweet. So that's being pushy. So just have the basic checklist right. Depends on the kind of event or the kind of campaign that you have. And I think if you see it, but from both sides, from what a brand wants to achieve through what the brand is posting or the agency is helping you post, to the kind of stuff that you want users to talk, and then list the hardware that you would probably want to. For users, obviously they have the mobile, so I think your normal stuff like getting the Wi-Fi in place, giving users the password, and at least that they have and ensure that they have everything with them to tweet out if they want to. And from the brand, obviously, you need to have your basics in place, like your systems, a good net connection, good mobile, a good camera to, capture the candid moments that happen at the event, which at least creates that buzz around the event, and also creates that hype when when you're following it up, up with a subsequent event at other city. So stuff like that.
Okay. So Anurag is asking us what online offline integration can be done for B2B brands since end consumers are not directly buying products.
I didn't get that. Can you just repeat, Ankita? I just missed that.
Yeah, sure. So Anurag is asking us what offline online integration can be done for B2B brands since end consumers are not directly buying products.
Okay. Uh, see, I don't think that online offline is a rule that we should apply to all brands out there, because it's very much possible that your brand does not lend itself to an online offline integration in the first place. So it's not a hard and fast rule that everyone needs to be on Facebook. Was a rule that we kind of started off with 7 years back. It so happened that your objective is completely different. An SCM can do that for you, which which are probably having a Facebook page, won't be able to deliver. So it kind of depends on your object, and if the end user is not experiencing your product, a B2B company can still probably, if they want the users to feel what their product is, they are very much welcome to organize a bloggers meet, tell users about their product in general. But the danger that such events kind of carry with them is, if you do too much of a sales pitch, in your offline events, which where you drive people from online, there is somewhere it ends up feeling disconnected. So you need to kind of go back to your drawing board and really figure out if you really need to do an online offline for your brand or not. It's not a hard and fast rule that every brand needs to. It may so happen that as a B2B company, you don't even need to do it. There may be other things out there in digital which you would want to chase, then probably force fit an online offline which users are not interested in. Because the worst thing is getting a user on ground and then boring him to death. If he's not wanting to, him getting the product is dependent on his office buying that stuff for him. So it's no point impressing the user with the qualities of your product, because he can't influence the decision that his office management takes. And I'm talking of a desktop, in this case. So you may try to impress him with an office desktop which you feel works for him, but he's not the one who's going to go and buy. So for stuff like that, I don't think an online offline would work. There may be different versions of an offline thing, which is more of an expo, where users walk in and they get to see stuff and they get to see more of such stuff. So I think for them an online offline would be something similar of an expo, where the sole objective of users who come there is to experience the different products out there, rather than creating an online and offline just for themselves. So it really depends. It's not a hard and fast rule that everyone can and should do online offline.